Yo, what's going on, people? Don't mind this thing. It's my very sketchy microphone we got here. If I didn't have it in, you wouldn't really be able to hear me all that well. It'd be real loud in here. But today, I'll talk about something that I feel like people sort of wonder about. I mean, I'm sure some people don't wonder at all. But I don't know, if you are the least slightest bit of a large car fan, semi enthusiast, whatever, you just like checking out trucks as you're driving down the highway or whatever, you're kind of wondering, are all these guys talking to each other? And allegedly, this used to be the case. And this is the short and the skinny of it, is no, we are not all talking to each other. This is the short answer, is most of the time when you're out on the CB, channel 19, and that, you know, people think that it's just channel 19, when in all reality, truth is, depending on where you are in the country, they might be using something different. I've heard that on the East Coast they're using like channel 15 and stuff like that. I've heard guys in Chicago are using different channels than that. And I guess those guys are going on my right side here. Probably shouldn't be there. It is what it is. Yeah, he's not going anywhere. But yeah, basically, there is a given channel to every area that you're in. And I don't know all of them. I'm sure if I was more of an enthusiast, more, you know, fiddling with my radio more often than I do, I'd probably be able to figure that stuff out. But for the most part, I am on channel 19 at all times, unless I have communicated with another driver that we're just going to switch to a different channel because we don't want to just cause chatter for no reason at all. And, you know, everyone who runs around with their radio on, you run into those guys that they run past you and they're talking about whatever, and they're just on channel 19. You know, sometimes they're coming up behind you, so you hear them for a couple of miles, and then they pass you because you're in a company truck like your boy, and then they're out of range. So you get a little bit of chatter that way. You kind of get to listen in on the conversation a little bit, what they're talking about. Usually they're talking smack about young drivers like myself, which I don't say anything. I just listen to hear what they're saying, and, you know, usually it's true. It's usually true that a lot of, and they can talk smack on younger drivers because a lot of younger drivers don't have CVs. They sort of fell off. I mean, as you can see, I got my little CB Madoohickey up here. Pretty much stays up there all day. I don't say nothing to no one unless I want to, or I feel that it's a good idea. You know, common example of that is like if I'm in a truck stop and there's a guy, you know, like sitting somewhere, he looks like he's going to come in my direction. You know, maybe I would give him the flash of lights first, and if he doesn't do anything then it's like, you know, you might want to give him a holler and see what he's going to do. But another time would be if I ran into another driver from my company, which just happened today. Sort of ran right behind this guy for 10 miles, something like that. It wasn't too long. We sort of split ways after that. But I got on there and I was like, hey man, you got a copy? And that basically just means, you know, can you hear me? Do you copy, essentially? And I don't know if he just had a CB off or he didn't have one at all, but nothing came back, and I was like, all right, hanging up, good to go. but I don't know. I feel like I always felt that sort of way, like, especially before I had a CB. I was always wondering, you know, if people were talking around me and I just had no idea. Like, it sort of seems like this, how do you want to put it? Like, there's another layer to driving. Like, it's not just you're driving and, you know, a guy goes past you and you give him the old 2-finger salute like that. You know, you're like, yeah, you're cool, see you later, I'm passing you, you're passing me, whatever. And then, you know, go on about your day. Ooh, Quickster, alright. But, now where the heck was I going? Yeah, before I had a reasonable CB setup, I always wondered, you know, are people like just talking and I don't know about it? And I had an older CB that my uncle had given me, and this was not a good CB, but it worked for what I needed it to do, which was really short range stuff. I remember I needed it once for being oversized. I needed my chase car, pilot car, whatever you want to call it. I needed to, you know, be able to talk to them and let them know, you know, what I'm seeing, what they're seeing behind me. You know, a truck's coming this way, you got a car coming on, you know, yada yada yada, all that good stuff. It works for that. But I was very interested to see if, like, I'm just missing stuff. Like, I don't know. So I ended up spending a little bit of money on a CB setup, and I mean, maybe all in, we're talking like under $200, something like that. And most of this was points that I have accumulated on my rewards cards that I have for different truck stops. So it didn't really cost me that much money at all. But that was always kind of the plan with them. I didn't use them. So I was like, what am I going to use them for? And, you know, okay, well, let's see what all this CB stuff is about. And there's not much going on. Like I had said before, every here and there you get some chatter, especially in traffic. If you're wondering if your radio is working and you're, you know, too timid to make a break and ask for a radio check, I would say go find yourself some traffic and flick it on and see what's going on, because someone will be asking about what lanes are closed and what's going on and how come we're stopped and all this and that, and then they get to, you know, whining about whatever is going on in their situation, and, you know, you get to learn all this stuff. But yeah, apparently back in the day, and we're talking like my grandpa's day, okay? We're talking about like 70s, 80s, probably into the 90s, maybe into the 2000s. I wasn't there. I don't know. I've only been out here for a year and a half, so I really, you know, can't comment all that well on this stuff, but I got a reasonable idea of what's going on now. But back then, apparently it was so crowded on CB that you couldn't catch a break if you wanted to. It was like people were just yapping away all day on channel 19, whatever channel they were on, I don't know. Apparently they used to use a different channel or whatever, I don't know. But apparently that's how it used to be. And, you know, people always think like, oh, it's Smokey and the Bandit out here, everyone's talking to one another, and we all got this secret alliance against like police and other cars and traffic and stuff like that, and that's not all wrong. You know, another thing that happens a lot is if you roll past a scale, and by scale I mean a weigh station, a chicken coop, whatever you want to call it. That's what they always call it. Or scale house, chicken coop. You know, what's the scale house looking like? That's what they'll say. They'll be like, hey, Southbound, what's that scale house look like? Something like that. And you know, if you were paying attention, which you're always not when they ask about it, it's always, you know, I don't know, so you don't say anything, but someone else always knows, and they'll ask, you know, if the weigh station is open, and they're basically just wanting to, you know, avoid the scale for the time being. Maybe they're running illegal, maybe they're overweight, maybe they just don't want to be bothered, they don't even want to take the chance, so they're just going to go around. Maybe it's a easier route to just get around and do that or whatever, I don't know. I really don't have any issues with scales. I usually catch the pre-pass right through them things. I don't even pull in most of the time. Well, I don't have to pull in because, yeah, pre-pass. What's some other stuff? What was that other thing I was saying? I had like 3 of them, and I explained one, but the other one, yeah, I can't remember. But yeah, overall, the CB is a cool thing to have. I keep it on all day just for whatever reason, just because I have it, I guess, and I understand how to use it a little bit. And, you know, maybe a situation like how I was following that driver, you know, he might have not even noticed that I was behind him. He just had his CB off and, you know, just didn't even hear what I was saying at the time. Maybe, but I just leave it on all day. It doesn't really matter. Mine only gets out maybe a mile, 2 miles. If it was real flat, like where I'm at right now, I could probably get 2 3/4 out of it. I don't know. I don't even know. You can usually just guesstimate by, you know, that's when those guys running past you, that's when they come in handy. Is checking how far your CB can get. And I'm talking about, you know, those guys that are just yapping away and they run past you and you're like, oh, I didn't even notice them, but now they're, you know, creeping away. How far away are they now? You know, they're a mile away, and I'm starting to lose them a little bit. You know, that's how far my CB gets, is a mile. But generally speaking, the CB is not so commonly used as it was before. Still catch some people that they'll still call out police in the median, police on the side of the road. They'll say, you know, something to the effect, oh, he's passed me again. See there, bud? You know, they got a, like, for example, 10 eastbound, you got a Smokey sitting at, or I don't even call it Smokies, they'll be like, oh, you got a, what do they say? They'll just say a bear, or they'll say it's DOT. What's the other one I've heard? Got a bear taking your picture, all that stuff, and that just means like radar gun. That's all that means. It's like weird code, and most of that code has fallen off. That's another thing about it. Is people think that you gotta have like a cheat sheet under your visor or whatever to talk to people out here or understand what they're saying, and that has fallen off completely. No one's talking in code. No one's, you know, keeping it polite on the CV. They will tell you exactly what you were doing wrong. They have no problem getting on there and yelling at you, especially if you work for a larger company that may not have the best name. Swift. No, I'm kidding, I joke. What else about the dang CB? Something that it's useful for is checking into places. That's somewhere that it's still used very, very commonly. When you pull up to a gate at a shipper or receiver, they'll say, something to the effect of, have a sign up on the fence and be like, for check-in, go to channel 13, go to channel 6, go to channel whatever channel they want there. Kind of see that dude's trailer. It's pretty slick. But yeah, outside of all of that, I think it's just sort of I don't know, it's an old school thing that some guys don't want to put down, some guys don't want to use. Like, I bet you that there are as many people as there are talking on the CB, there's probably 5 times more that are just listening. And maybe they don't even have it on the same channel as everyone else. And that's kind of one of the things, is there's 40 channels to choose from. So, I guess everyone kind of agreed on 19 or whatever, but I mean, maybe they're all on a different channel now and I just don't know about it or something. That'd be kind of weird. But yeah, it's kind of just an old school thing. Another place that it came in handy was when I ran with another guy from my company. And we did about like 650 miles together over the course of 2 days. And we were just talking about whatever. We were both into motorcycles and stuff like that, so we were talking about that and chatting about whatever and doing some politicking or whatever, I don't know. But yeah, generally speaking, the CB is not the most useful thing in the world. I don't know. It's kind of fun, I guess, if you're really into that sort of stuff. I know some guys are real into that sort of stuff. They got big beefed up CBs, but I'm not crazy into it. But yeah, that's the answer to the question. Is the CB used as much as it was before? Not really, but there's still places where where one is applicable and it's appropriate. I don't know. That's just what it is. So yeah, thanks for listening. I will catch y'all on the next one. Bye-bye.